said all the good stuff though.
All right. Listen. They not here. So whatever they missed in that first 10 minutes, they just missed it. And so I'm sure there's more good stuff to come. So thank all
yeah.
our speakers.
Ms. Burke, could you say the question one more time?
Yes, how are essays used for the college admissions process?
So again, I would encourage students to think beyond just college admissions. Just writing for scholarships that are specifically institutional. Every college or institution is going to have their individual scholarships, but there's so many scholarships that are out there that just really require you to write to them. And again, we see so much funding not get used year after year because students just don't want to write to the scholarship. So the importance of writing a scholarship is really big, kind of like what Azar was already saying, and he and I are part of the same fraternity. I've done it on both sides, whether it's institutional or with the 501c3 nonprofit. Students writing a scholarship essay really shows interest. It shows that you are committed to whatever you're doing. Find topics that apply directly to you. There are specifics, kind of like what Mr. Rosario was talking about. It's specific criteria. So you want to make sure that you meet the criteria, one, right? And it has something that you're interested in, like women in STEM or minorities in STEM, all those different aspects. And I'm pretty sure whatever you're interested in, there is a scholarship out there for whatever you're interested in, whether it be in something on the career technical education side, like a plumbing or welding or anything like that, all the way to going into modern medicine. Ms. Burr, I do want to introduce, I did invite our career and college transfer coordinator on the line tonight, Ms. Akila Haley, and she would be an awesome asset as well. She helps all of our students who started a community college and then transferred to a four-year university secure scholarships as well. So I wanted to bring her on to share her expertise.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Welcome, Ms. Haley.
Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Wyer, for that amazing introduction. That's my work best friend, you guys. I'm happy to address or answer any questions that I can answer. I'm so excited for you all. This is an exciting time for you all as students. So whatever we can do to help you along with that process, the money is out there for you. So we definitely want you to take advantage of the scholarship writing process, even if you can, use the same duplicate scholarships and just cater them to the specific company, college, entity that you're writing the scholarship for. It's so important to just get that, get those funds, get that money that's available so you won't be in debt.
As I always say, let's secure the bag.
Yes.
So I would like to ask, what exactly is it that you are looking for? I'll say this. I was actually a part of a scholarship foundation, just to kind of add to what they're saying. We gave away, I believe, $2,000, and it sounds like nothing, but trust me, every dollar counts and it all adds up. But yeah, we put that scholarship out to the school, and only one person filled out that application and put in the essay for it. One person. And just being real with you, her essay was not the most grammatically correct essay out there, but she applied, and so therefore she got that scholarship. So when we tell you all to apply for these scholarships, like, I really can't stress it enough. A lot of you are afraid of rejection, but like, just apply. Like, you can't get rejected for something that you did not apply for. But now I would like to again ask, what exactly is it that you are looking at when you are looking at these essays? What are you looking for? What tells you this, I need to vote for this person or score for this person?
Well, I'll go first since I kind of started along that line with my last answer. I think for me personally, I always look at the what how is this going to change your life, right? And I do want that personal connection. I saw a chat in there. It was like, do you want it more formal? Do you want it more personal? For me, I lean towards a more personal, well written. It still needs to be professionally written, but I want to know about you individually. I want to know your journey, what why you're going to school. So your why, and then the what is the scholarship going to do for you? Those are the two big ones that I always look for. It's how is it going to change your life? How is, if you can't pay for school, how is this going to make a difference in your life and that type of thing? So, but having that personal feel for it and making sure that you can connect to the person makes a huge difference in selecting for me.
I agree. Honesty is very important. I feel like everyone has their own individual testimony, and it's important to, capitalize on that. I do feel in life, in order for us to appreciate the good things, we have to go through the bad things. So it's important to not dwell on it in a negative aspect when you're writing your essay, but focus on how you overcame those negative things. Don't focus on woe is me, but put more emphasis on how did this make you a better person, or how did this inspire or encourage you to move forward? That's what we look for. And I think that's what a lot of scholarship committees look for: your grit, your resilience. They want to see that you are able to kind of stand the test of time and you're not so quick to give up when times get tough. Because again, that's what's going to, push you and motivate you. So definitely what my professional colleague just spoke on about, the personal touch. And I think that has a lot to do with just being honest and being yourself.
I would say one of the biggest things, almost basic, is I'm looking for effort. To see effort in your writing. As Ms. Burt said, we're not looking for you to be a novel writer or a professional writer, but to show effort, that you read what the scholarship was about, and you showed how you connect to the scholarship. Because really a lot of our organizations, whether it's an institution, it's a nonprofit, they want to give funding to a student that represents them, that represents their values. So we want to see in your writing that you represent that. And I want us to take it a step further, students, that some of us will look you up. We want to look up this student. We want to put a face with this essay you've written. So if what you've written doesn't match what you're putting on social media, what you're putting out there, you can hurt yourself, So you want to make sure, because this is your first step towards branding, professional branding, is writing towards a scholarship. You're asking someone to contribute financially to your education using some of their organizational dollars. So I'll take it a step further to say that have the effort in your writing, but also make sure that you're aligning the rest of your life with your goals and what you're writing. Because I've seen beautiful essays, and then you look online and I'm like, well, I don't know, do we want to put or do we want to take a picture of this person and say, hey, this is who we're giving $10,000 to, or who we're giving 75% scholarship for tuition to? It all matters. Everything impacts everything as you get to this point in your life. It all starts to intersect.
Ooh, say that. So there is some verification. Y'all do actually go and look these people up, is what you're saying.
Not everybody does. I'm a stickler for that. And it may be because of management or whatever the case may be, but we like photo ops. So we're all branding our organizations. We all represent our organization. So again, when we give funding to someone, we want to recognize you. Ms. Bird is getting a $10,000 scholarship. We don't want that to be quiet. We want to make a little noise about that. We want to say, hey, we're giving Ms. Bird $10,000. We want to take a photo op with her. We want to get a little background on her beyond that. And we want to make sure that what she represents also represents our organization as well, because if they don't align, now my brand is associated with whatever brand you're putting out there. And we always know that it's easier for the bad to impact the good. They're going to see more so what you're doing than what my organization is doing, even if it's large. If you're doing something negative, they're not going to care about how great the big organization is. They're going to care about what that little person that got the $10,000 is doing, that one. Say, well, look, this organization is associated with this. Look at that.
Yeah, and then they start to question our decision making behind it, right?
Exactly.
Oh, well, if they can't pick a good scholarship recipient, what can they do, right? And so you
Right.
can get into even on the business association of it all, right? They'll start kind of thinking that what can they really make good decisions in general.
And some scholarships are renewable. So, you can get that money again. So you may get $5,000 one year, you may be able to get that again. So you want to just put your best foot forward, and not just in your writing, but in when you start to plan and dream and vision what it is you want to be in life and what you want to do, start to walk in that. It's very hard. And I learned this from my youth, trying to live on both sides of the fence. You got to get on one side. You got to figure out who you want to be and what you want to represent, because there's a lot of things that come with having that good plan. And I know as young people, you in that sweet spot where you're trying to figure that out. And you want to fit in socially, but you also know, man, you know what? I want to go and be a brain surgeon, or I want to be a social worker. I need some funding to do it. So you got to make sure that what your goals are aligning with what you're putting out there.
Man, y'all saying a whole word right now. I hope these students are really understanding what y'all saying, and not just understanding it for the purposes that y'all are saying it for. Because even in terms of our organizations, right, whether you're here representing, Clark Atlanta Upward Bound, or CTC, or one of the other Upward Bound programs that are on, we don't want anybody like brother Orazio just said, I might have killed your name, but we don't want anybody looking at us saying they chose to put that person in their program. We lose our credibility. So we want y'all to make sure y'all handling yourselves when y'all are doing what y'all do in y'all communities and in y'all schools.
And if I'm not mistaken, Miss Beavers, the scholarship board you sit on is at the church, correct?
It is. I was going to add that we don't do, well, I don't know what a lot of the other reviewers of grants do, but we keep a good reputation, keep your name clean, because we want references. If you don't have an adult that can vouch for you, whether it's your school administrator, your pastor, Lawson gives an awesome scholarship just based off of your reputation at your church. Your pastor can recommend you and you just get a free ride based off of that. No applications, none of that. So keep in mind that the adults that you all give a hard time to sometimes could be your next step to a free education. So keep your reputations clean, even if your social media is clean. Eyes are watching all the time, and be involved. Everybody's not an athlete, everybody's not in music, but you can have civic and volunteer opportunities that someone can vouch for you. I have kids come to me all the time, especially if they want to get in sororities and fraternities for volunteer hours. I can't vouch for you. Y'all didn't do anything. So just being involved and having a good reputation in your community goes a long way as well.
Yes, thank you. You guys are actually saying a lot. We've actually had a call a few weeks ago about social media, and we had one about a week or so after that about being involved. So you all are really kind of amening a lot of what we've already kind of discussed. Okay, let me go to some of these questions, which I think you touched on some of it. One of them is, how do you know if a scholarship is legitimate? I'm talking about ones that you search for yourself on the internet.
Research the organization. So, 9 times out of 10, if an organization is putting a scholarship out there, you should be able to find that organization's webpage and be able to search their webpage. You can also use the Better Business Alliance to make sure they're not a scam. That's BBBA, I think, to make sure it's not a scam. Typically, if it's a nonprofit organization or something like that, they'll have a org or a edu or something like that website handle, but I'll just always do your fact check, and they won't ask for personal identifiable information like your social. They won't ask for things like that. Don't give your social, don't give your, your address. If you're doing a lot of scholarship applications, you may want to get a PO box during that time period, but they won't ask for that information that like your social. Don't give your social out to anybody. They may ask for your how old you are, when you graduate from high school, and things of that nature, but it shouldn't be anything that really identifies you. So yes, that is very true. There are scams out there. I've seen horror stories. Ms. Haley has. So definitely be careful as you're applying for scholarships, that there are people who will prey on you because they see it as a sweet spot. So vet them. Call them if it's a number, call them. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say a lot of private organizations or endowments or foundations who give grants, they're not gonna ask you all for money. I know a lot of people that try to scam with scholarships, they'll ask for a fee. That's typically kind of a red flag. And not that there aren't some that do. I don't know any reputable ones that do. All this information is free. Most scholarships and grants, that's free information.
Yeah, and they'll take those applications for free. One good resource, if you're looking for scholarships, there's a app called Scholly. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about that, but Scholly is a really good app that you can do searches, and they actually vet all of those scholarship offerings before they put it on the site or on the app. So that's a really good resource for you to be able to kind of already know whether it's good or not.
And it's just, how do you spell it? SC?
SCHOLLY.
Okay.
That's right. And it also links to your FAFSA. So if you apply for your FAFSA, they'll automatically link it for you. Once you list your schools or colleges that you want to attend, Scholly is very reputable and a great resource.
Thank you all. All right, let me ask the next question. And I believe you touched on it, but I'll just go back to it. Is it better for your essay to be more formal or include more personal information? Are there different themes? Okay, so we'll start at the second part of that question. Are there different themes where you should write more formally, and some of you should write more about your, okay, LA, did we already answer your question, LA?
Yeah, she was talking about how for some scholarships, they want to be able to kind of get to know you, and like they'll read your essay and they'll relate to you on a personal level. They'd be like, oh, okay, I want that person at my school. But one of the things was, for example, what type of question? Oh, wait, never mind. That's a separate question. Yeah, wait, no, let me double check. Yeah, I don't know if I asked it, but like, what type of questions do they ask you? Because like, if they're asking you, what is a problem that you face in your life, then maybe they want you to talk more personally. But if they're saying just like, describe yourself, when you describe yourself, do they want you to talk about your academics, talk about your stuff that you do, or do they want you to kind of like just give a personal story? That's what I was kind of asking.
Great question.
So they'll probably be a little specific. They will ask, like in essays, you typically want to cater more towards like open-ended questions versus closed-ended questions. And it'll be very specific. So you don't want it to be just, broad. I would go into, again, I think that's what Mr. Wyan was speaking of when you research the company and the scholarship that you're applying for. You will want your answers to tailor towards that particular scholarship. So for instance, let me just throw out an example. Let's say you're applying for a scholarship at AT&T, or AT&T, let's just say AT&T is giving you a scholarship for $10,000 as long as you get a bachelor's degree in communications at an HBCU. So you want to make sure all your answers are tailored towards your endeavors to ensure that you are a communications major at a historically Black college and university. Everything needs to be tailored towards that. You don't need to put how you may have interned at UAB, or that, you one point thought you might run football at UA, nothing like that. It just, everything needs to be tailored towards that. if that answered your question. I hope it kind of helped you a little bit.
And most scholarships do, so read your applications, like Haley said, carefully, because they do use a point system, which means that they are making sure you targeted in your essay those areas and those questions that they ask specifically. So that kind of makes it easier to not have a bias, or, we're just approving grants that pull on our heartstrings. So if they ask you a specific question, stick to that question. It's okay to give, some of your own personality, but make sure you direct it to what they're asking.
Yeah, and I saw a little bit about, or when I was first joining, somebody was asking about, should I have a stock one and tailored or whatever. I would tell you, kind of create a template that has kind of that generic background information. Hey, I am, a rising senior that's looking to go into this major, and that type of stuff that's going to be generic across all of your essays, right? And that makes it a little easier for you to take that and then tweak it to those specific questions that they ask. Like Ms. Haley was saying about if they talk about HBCUs, if they ask about a specific major, you really want to play up that information so then you can get scored. Like Ms. Beaver said, you can get scored highly that you answered the questions that they're really particular about. But you do definitely want to have a kind of stock template that talks about that background information, and then you can just kind of tweak it. It makes it a lot easier to write for multiple scholarships.
And more specifically, on your templates, include your hobbies, include extracurricular activities, whether it's sports, band, student government association. Sometimes there are high school sororities and fraternities, because that's social service work. And sometimes it's based off of your geographical location. If they're focusing on Alabama or specifically Birmingham. So just kind of keep it really specific sometimes.
Miss Haley, I kind of want to talk a little bit, because that is something that we do not discuss a lot, and we really should talk more about it. Junior college and transferring to four-year colleges. Could you talk a little bit about, just a little bit about that opportunity and the scholarship opportunities that come along with that?
Sure. We don't discuss it often. It's really taboo, to be honest. Often students feel if I go to a community college, I might not get the opportunities that I would if I decide to transfer later on and go to a 4-year. But there's just as many opportunities attending a 2-year community college first and then transitioning to the 4-year. So that's what I do at Lawson State. I'm over career services as well as college transfer services. And I'm essentially the middle person or the liaison for students once they obtain their associate's degree and they want to transition to the 4-year for their last 2 years to complete their bachelor's degree. And there are so many transfer scholarships available, you guys. Oftentimes, I know you may think, oh, I might not get as many opportunities because I've graduated from high school and I went to a community college first, but that is so far from the truth. There are several transfer scholarships available. And oftentimes we think it's only for athletes or student athletes, but no, there are academic scholarships available as well as third-party transfer scholarships available, not just on the institutional level, but on the departmental level as well. Because at that point, if you think about it, just think about it. When you go to a 4-year college, any 4-year college, and you graduated from high school, the first 2 years, if you did not do dual enrollment, you're only taking general ed courses anyway. So those first 2 years, you're taking your compositions, your math, your psychologies, your orientations. Everyone takes that across the board. So if you didn't do any type of dual enrollment, your first 3 semesters or 4 semesters, those are the classes that you're taking. You're not really getting into your major into your 3rd year. So that's the same time where many community college students have obtained their associate's degree, and then they're transitioning to get their bachelor's degree. And what really makes scholarship committees excited about community college students is the fact that they have already completed one benchmark, meaning they have obtained that associate's degree and they have like a 2-for-1 special essentially. So they got their associate's degree, right? At a 9 times out of 10, a cheaper price. And they were able to qualify for transfer scholarships. And I know that was a lot, but I get excited talking about it because I was like, I wish I had done that, you know, because I was just, no, I'm going to the 4-year and that's what I wanted to do. But the path is so much better for multiple reasons. Financially, sometimes students are introverts and a big 4-year school may be a little too much for them, you know, at the beginning. So they may want a more intimate setting that you'll receive on a community college level. At Lawson, our classes are like 1 and 17. So you're going to get that more intimateness with your professors, you know, your professor will know you by name and things of that nature. So it's just several reasons why you should, you know, definitely take advantage of that. We have partnerships and articulation agreements with all of the 4-year in-state public institutions, which will allow your transfer credits, the courses that you took on the community college level at Lawson to transition to the 4-year school with no hesitation. So the courses that you took would transfer over and it will only leave you with 2 years, 4 semesters, or 3 to obtain your bachelor's degree. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I'll add one thing to that. I tell all my employees, when you graduate from that 4-year school, whether you went to a junior college and got an associate's or went to a community college and then went to the 4-year, it's still going to say that 4-year university on it, whether you went there 4 years or 2 years.
Yeah.
So employers do not care whether you went through junior, community college or not. Employers are looking at what is that? Do you have that 4-year? And so you get a lot of the same benefits from the 4-year university going through community college and then moving over to the 4-year as you would if you went there all 4 years. Companies don't care.
Yeah. True.
Thank you. We did have another question come through. Actually, we had 2 questions. Let me see. How do you feel about bold.org? I guess that's a website for scholarships. Have either of you heard of it?
I've never heard of it, and so I wouldn't trust it. I'm kind of familiar with them, but I don't think I've never heard of it.
Either of you heard of it? Not really.
I haven't, but I see that it's copyrighted in 2022, so it looks like they just stood it up. So it just may be new type of thing. But like Ms. Haley said, I've never heard of it, so I can't endorse it. But you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad organization, because a lot of times, especially after kind of the social awareness, the George Floyd and all of that, a lot of organizations and companies have come together and really tried to start reaching out to minorities. And so it looks a little bit like this may be something that happened from that it's minority based. And so they're trying to build something together. But again, I don't know enough about it to be like, yes, go ahead and go for it.
And so I think it goes back to their earlier advice. Just make sure you vet it and be careful with the kind of information that you share. So, and again, you're in our programs, you have access to adults that, you know, don't mind helping you even do some of that research. So trust your intuition. Like if you're ever filling out a scholarship and they ask you a couple of additional questions and something don't sit right with you, reach out to somebody. Just say, hey, you know, Miss Q, Mr. Kenny, you know, Miss Hammonds, you know, if y'all, you know, is this a normal kind of question? And you have people in your life that can kind of help you navigate some of that. So use your resources. I want to make sure I always say that to our folks.
Thank you. All right, another question. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. So is it true that you actually lose scholarships when graduating early than gaining them? If so, why? Also, are there specific scholarships for graduating early and starting college early? So
I'm I'm
are you
I'm
speaking? Go ahead.
gonna jump in and say two things. One, there are scholarships for literally everything. So yes, there
Everything.
are scholarships for people that graduate early. I want to just shift the narrative a little bit. There are specific scholarships that are for first-time college students starting after high school, right? So I don't want you to think about it as losing scholarships if you graduate early. What I want you to think about more is if you are doing like dual enrollment and those kinds of things, then there are college classes that you're already taking for free. And so because you're in dual enrollment and you're taking those college classes for free, some of those scholarships, so there might not be some scholarship opportunities for kind of first-time college students, but you've already kind of taken a lot of those elective classes that Miss Haley was talking about earlier. And so don't think about it as losing money, just think about it as you kind of have already taken some of those classes that you would have been using that scholarship fund for.
Yeah, and I'll add, it's not necessarily that you lose any. A lot of times when you graduate early, you become kind of an off cycle, and so it's hard to keep up with what year you're starting and hitting the application deadlines and everything, because almost all your application deadlines are set on a normal traditional schedule, meaning you start in the fall. And so if you graduate early, say you graduate in December under the first semester, it's hard for you to apply for scholarships that start in the spring of that year, right? Most scholarships are going to be on that cycle. Your application cycle is going to be off. So you may not be able to get a scholarship if you want to actually start in the spring semester. You may have to wait to get on your application cycle so that you can actually get your scholarships in the fall. So it's not necessarily you lose out. What happens is if you know that you're going to apply or you know that you're going to start early, or graduate early, you need to make sure you're looking at applications earlier for the year before, because for them to award you the scholarship to start in the spring, your application timeline is going to be different. They'll probably be closing out applications in the summer or early summer, late spring for that next December, January start date. So that's what you really want to look at is the application timelines.
That also goes for FAFSA. So if you know that you're going to end up graduating in December, then you need to do FAFSA during your junior year, right? Yep. Because if you wait until your senior year to do FAFSA, you literally won't be able to have access to those funds until the following fall. So if any of you know that you're going to be graduating like December of your senior year, then you need to do FAFSA the year before so that you can actually use FAFSA in the January or spring of that following year.
And because I've been in higher ed for almost a decade now, and I'm not saying that the trends have changed, but just through research, I try to encourage my students that graduate in December to go ahead and start in January. Oftentimes they want to wait till the fall, and because they want to apply for certain scholarships, but research shows if you sit out a semester, you're not gonna go back. Now, I'm not saying that's everybody on this call, or you may, but this is just research. This is educational research. And I just, oftentimes they feel, oh, I'm not gonna be able to qualify for this particular scholarship, but that's just one of many. It's so many scholarships out there for y'all. So, like for instance, I'm just gonna, throw a couple of out there that I was speaking of this morning. So UA and UAB gives what's called presidential scholarships to all 23 community colleges in the state of Alabama. And they only award them to 2 participants at each community college every year. So I have students that are excited and they want to apply. But some of my students that graduate in December, they're not eligible to apply because the application does not come out until February. If they want to start this 4-year school in January, they don't qualify for that particular scholarship. They can apply for other scholarships, but just not that one. And they just feel like the world is ending because they can't apply for that one. But it's just so many, that would equal up to that. But what I'm saying is just don't sit out, because this one scholarship, don't sit out a semester. Sit out a semester if it's, financially you're trying to support your family, or, it's something else health-wise, or, something else, but just don't do it because of a scholarship deadline. One scholarship deadline.
And Miss Haley is right about that. As young people, sometimes you guys don't understand just how as difficult as I know some of your situations can be. There's usually a lot that you guys are still shielded from as young people. And as Ms. Haley was saying, what research says is one semester can turn into a year can turn into 5 years, a lot faster than you think. And so, we hear some of you talk about, well, I've been in school my whole life and I think I'm gonna take a gap year. And trust me, adulting sucks, just period. Like from where y'all at to where, listen, adulting is just not that move, right? And so I'm just saying, there is some safety in moving directly from high school into college, even if it's the junior college path into the 4-year college path. But just taking that time off can sometimes throw a wrench in your larger plan that you just don't expect. So I really want to encourage all of y'all to really think about that decision before you make it. Because like I said, I've seen students that say, well, yeah, I want to take a gap year. And then 3 years later, they still working at, a fast food restaurant, and they never got started in school when they had all the potential and everything they needed to, at that moment to do it.
Yes.
Are these students from Birmingham, or are they from?
No, actually, I was going to allow you all to promote any scholarships or anything that you have coming up, but I was going to let you know that these students are in Georgia. So yeah, we have Spalding County, Fulton County, and Clayton County.
I have a resource for you as well, Ms. Burt, when we get off.
We like
Thank you so
resources.
much.
Resources are fun.
Yes.
It's in Georgia.
Awesome. Yes, I would love that. Thank you so much.
So we don't want to keep our guests too long. Does anybody else have any questions while y'all have these resources online? Like we got these resources online. Does anybody else have any kind of specific questions that they might want to ask while we are on the call? Y'all can't let Taylor and LA ask all the questions. Y'all ain't got.
Well, while we're waiting to see, first, I would like to thank each of you for coming on the call. I really appreciate you all providing this information for our students. I would allow you the opportunity. I know for a fact Ms. Haley can promote to our kids, but if you have any scholarship opportunities or resource opportunities for our students that you would like to place out there, please take this time. We'll start with you, Mr. Arazio.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. And first of all, it really enjoyed the conversation. I love kind of doing these conversations and talks. So the 2 scholarships that I talked about, one of them is at the University of Alabama. That scholarship is for juniors and seniors. So kind of, Ms. Haley, how you were talking about, some scholarships are only for upperclassmen. And so that is one that it is for junior seniors in fashion and apparel and textile design. So if anybody is looking to go into fashion design or something like that, that scholarship's available. It's through the school. So you don't have to have a separate application for it. You just apply for the general scholarships at the school, and we are part of that. The other one is at UAB. We won't be awarding it this year because we just endowed it last year, but it's for incoming freshman males. Because I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, like I said, And so we set that up for that group. So incoming males coming into UAB, you can apply for that scholarship again through the school, through the normal school application. We didn't want to have a separate application for those, so we're included in that. But as a resource for you guys, all the males out there, if you're looking for a scholarship, I know Omega Psi Phi in Atlanta, that chapter does have a scholarship that they award every year. So I'll get that information over to you, Ms. Bird, when they have that scholarship application, and so you can get it out to the group.
Thank you so much. And can you please clarify, when you said juniors and seniors, are you referring to high school or college?
Oh, so for the fashion and apparel textile is juniors and seniors in college. So because with that major, that's when you actually, like Ms. Haley said, you actually get into your major and you have to actually start going out and buying fabrics and everything to make your looks for apparel and textile. So that's why we did that scholarship for that group, to cover the cost of buying fabrics and notions and all that good stuff.
Thank you. Ms. Beavers?
So there is a scholarship that we do in-house, and there's one that the Always Up Foundation does for first generation college students and low income college students, and we're a partner with them. So if I can get you all, or Ms. Bird, your information so you can direct that to your students, I will be glad to be a sponsor for them when it comes to, because you have to kind of have a partnership with an organization within their kind of network. And it's a scholarship. When I tell you guys, it keeps giving. And again, just like Ms. Bird said at the earlier part of this meeting, nobody really applies for it. Every student who applied through our church, which they were typically church members, and it's not a faith-based scholarship, by the way, so you don't have to attend church, you just have to have a partnership. And mostly all of their scholarships were renewable for the whole year, whether it was 2 years or 4 years that they went to school. They helped with things like their cars. If they broke down, they got them fixed for them. They would send them just monthly allowances just to do with whatever they wanted to do. So this is an amazing opportunity. And I do know, because I reviewed a lot of their scholarships, and they have a criteria, it's a point system. If they want references, don't send your application, half done. If it's 10 parts to the application, 5 parts, make sure you have every part, because they score sometimes, it's not even on the content. It's pretty much based on your ability to follow instructions.
And completeness of the application. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Haley?
Well, once again, I just want to say thank you all for allowing us this time to kind of speak with you guys. And this is an exciting time for you all. I hope you all are excited about the next steps in your life. I'm at Lawson State now. I've been there about 3 years. And like I said, what I do, I'm essentially your exit strategy. So if Lawson State or any community college is something that you're looking to, or you never really thought about it, visit our website and check us out. We have a lot of opportunities there. We have people in place to help you, a support system. As I always say, we want to help you guys, but we don't want to handicap you. We definitely want to help you get to where you need to be. But prior to my position there, I worked at 4 other historically Black colleges and universities. So I like to push HBCUs. I'm sorry, I'm a little biased when it comes to my HBCU partners. However, scholarships are out there and they're available. Check the legitimacy of them by, I said, visiting the site. Mr. Williams, to make sure you visit the site. The Better Business Bureau, the BBB, and the BBA if you're here in the Birmingham area, but by you guys being in Georgia, the BBB, if they have a BBB rating, and Scholly. I put a link in the chat, and if you guys scroll up, I did put the link For My Scholar, you could create an account. It's no charge. Like Ms. Beaver said, a scholarship application is not going to charge you. So if they're asking you for any type of debit card or credit card information, go ahead and close the browser out immediately. My Scholar, the application process in that particular website is not going to charge you anything either. You can search for scholarships all day long.
Thank you all so much. Mr. Stokes, Mr. Stallings, Miss Leggett, and is
You
Mr.
know what?
James here?
I saw one, I know it's time, but I saw one question. I saw a couple of questions that were kind of covered in the beginning, I hope on the recording. But I saw one question that I do just want to let y'all give a little bit of feedback on. There's a student that a little bit earlier in the chat asked specifically, how do you recover if you don't get chosen for a scholarship? And listen, you know, I am of the kind of thought process that you cast a big net and you just catch what you can catch. But I wanted them to hear that not from me, but from somebody else. So they asked, is there
Wait, Mr. Kenny. That's not what the question asked.
The question asked, is there one scholarship that you worked so hard for, but you didn't get, and how did you recover from that? That's what it says.
Yeah, but the way you worded it sounds so different from what I'm actually trying.
Well, you asked your question.
That's how you do.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, what I'm asking is, like, you know how y'all were saying how, you know, we're super scared of rejection and we have that super big fear, and that's why we mainly don't do scholarships. I want examples from you guys, because I'm pretty sure each and every one of you have definitely filled out an application and probably didn't get it. For like more so an example, you know what I mean? Or like some type of direction.
Well, as to why you don't need to be afraid and rejection is okay. I didn't apply for anything going to college, and I have $60,000 worth of debt right now that I need to pay. So being rejected is the least of your worries. You need to worry about, okay, how am I going to spend this money when I get approved for this scholarship? That's what you need to worry about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'll kind of answer that because I worked really hard. FAMU, I'm a big HBCU supporter too, Ms. Haley, even though I went to UAB. But that was only because I was pre-med and they had the best medical school in the Southeast. So, but my second choice was FAMU, and I worked really, really hard. They have what they call the Life Gets Better scholarship at FAM. And I worked really hard I took the ACT 3 different times so that I could get the ACT score that you need to be able to qualify for that scholarship. Got it. I missed the award ceremony. They came to our school and they were just basically handing out scholarships. And I missed it that night because my counselor didn't let me know about it. And so I missed it and I wasn't able to get that scholarship. And so my second choice, and I would have had a full ride to that school, I wasn't eligible, or I didn't get that scholarship, and they had run out by the time that I found out about it and got back with them and everything. But it's one of those things that out of all of that, I ended up going to UAB. I had a great time. I got a scholarship from them, you know, and I'm where I am today based on that. So, you know, sometimes you just have to be able to adjust. And if you don't get that scholarship, that's fine. And like they say, cast a wide net, because it's all about numbers at this point. I'm going to apply for 50 scholarships so that I can get 10, because you're not going to get denied for every last one of them. And so don't set your heart on a particular scholarship. Set your heart and your vision on, I got to go to school and I got to pay for it. So if I've got to apply for 50 scholarships so that I can pay for school, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to apply for 50 scholarships. And if I get accepted into 10, fine. And then when I get those 10 scholarships, I'm going to use that to get me to where I want to be in life. So don't sweat you didn't get it or you didn't get approved for that, because you shouldn't be applying for just a single scholarship anyway. So do as much as you can to go to school. That's really the ultimate goal.
I agree with everything that my fellow panelists said. So I have student loan debt, like Ms. Beaver said. I I didn't have to apply for scholarships because when I went to school back in the early 90s, we didn't have that type of option then. So I went to school on a full ride from high school. However, grad school, I accumulated a lot of debt. But with anything in life, just like when you can't get that TikTok video that y'all like to do so well right on the first time, how do you overcome that, right? You know, you keep trying. So you have to apply that in every area of your life. It can't just work, you know, for one thing. It has to work for all areas of your life. So it's again, it's building that grit, it's building that persistence, because all this is going to do, all this, you know, disappointment or the rejection, all that's going to do is just help build you and make you appreciate when you apply for the next one. You will, you know, put things in perspective and see what can I do to make it better. And don't, you know, don't have excuses or blame your counselor or your mom or your dad or your auntie or whatever. My computer failed, you know, go to the computer lab in the high school. You know, we have to eliminate the excuses and we just have to do what we need to do to get to where we need to be. And that's just coming from Miss Haley. And again, you know, people had to tell me that. It took years for me to understand because I'm the only child. And I'm not telling y'all this just talking out the side of my neck. People literally had to drill that in me because I felt like stuff was supposed to be given to me just because. No, things ain't supposed to be given to me just because. You know, I have to go out there and get it. And when it's not given to me, or, you know, if a door shuts on me, it's okay. That means I have to just, you know, dust myself off and try again, in the words of Aaliyah.
Thank you. Exactly, Marco, preach.
We've been having this conversation all day about just how old we are. And you just said in the words of Aaliyah, and even though I know I got students that wear shirts that they got her face on it, I don't know if they know nothing about Aaliyah for real. So that just made me laugh when you said that. Just for real.
Yes.
Are ahead of the rest. You all are getting information.
Mhm.
As a first time, I'm going to do a plug for my HBCU as well. First generation college student. That means, you know, you're the first one to go to college in your family. If I knew that the Always Up Foundation was there and had that information as a freshman, this would look totally different, believe me. So you all are ahead of the curve. So, you know, dismiss the fear because you all are putting in the work just by sitting on the Zoom getting the information.
Yes. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you everyone who attended the call to get this information. Look, please take advantage of it. I'm pretty sure everyone on this call can say we wish we would have taken advantage of different opportunities that were presented to us. I was like many of you, I did not apply because I just thought that I couldn't. I thought I wasn't good enough. My grades weren't good enough. I was a first generation college student, and that's what a lot of us go through. So, but now that I'm on the other side, with the money, the debts attached to my fear, as Ms. Beaver said, I do understand now, like, why this is so important. That's why we're having this call. So that's number one, apply. For the seniors, especially at ETS, we will, if you have not turned in your essays, your senior survey with your essays, please go ahead and get that in, because in the next coming up workshop Wednesdays, we're going to be working on those essays and correcting, making some adjustments to those essays. Also, end of the call plug, go sign in. ETS, go sign in. Thank you. But thank you all so much, Mr. Mansarella, Miss Beavers, and Miss Haley. Did I mess it up? Mr.
No, it's fine. Yeah,
oh, okay. Thank you all so much for attending the call. And I believe that is it. They are dropping information, email addresses, and everything in the chat. So if you, please, again, take advantage. We're giving it to you. It's up to you now to take the information and do something with it. So, other than that, thank you all and have a good night. Oh, do we have any, information that we need to give out for, seniors? I know Wednesday, Black Panther call, excuse me,
No.
Black Panther.
No, I
Wear
think
white.
I think they got all of that information. I think they got everything that they needed on that end. I'm gonna stop our recording.